I mean, I'll
Yes.
$1,000.
Because it's so low.
4 years old.
It looks good.
All right, we will go ahead and start the 4B board meeting Tuesday, July 10th at 6:32 p.m. All members are present except member Anthony, member Torres, and member Bradford. We'll move on to the public forum where citizens may speak. Is there anybody in the public that would like to speak? You may come forward. No one is coming forward. We will close the public forum and open the public hearing. Move on to item number 1. Public hearing on 2018-2019 budget with the following proposed projects. Incentives for $150,000. Town beautification for $25,000. Parks and trails for $150,000. Land acquisition for $300,000, Glacier Park improvements for $50,000, and rails to trails improvements $200,000. Is that all we needed? Are we gonna?
So this is just to hold the public hearing on our budget and our special project items.
Okay.
So then you just open it up for,
Okay, we will open it up. If anybody in the public would like to speak on these projects, they can come forward. No one is coming forward. We'll close the public hearing. We will move on to item number 1 on discussion items for number 2. Discuss and consider approval of the February 13, 2018 and May 15, 2018 and June 12, 2018 regular meeting minutes. Does everybody have a chance to look at those minutes? Any questions? Can I get a motion to accept the minutes for February 13th, May 15th, and June 12th?
So moved. Second?
Motion made by member Weiss, seconded by member Van Vessem. All those in favor? Passed unanimous. Move on to item number 3. Discuss and consider the June 2018 financial reporting and related financial items.
okay, good evening. For the month of June 30th, 2018, we had sales tax reported year-to-date at $592,583.60, which reflects 7 months actual and 2 months accrual. Interest earned year-to-date is $6,320.98. Transfers in are $1,375,000, and that represents the sale of the land at the southeast corner of Highway 80 in Collins. We had a gain on sale of assets of $149,430.78. Our year-to-date expenses total $1,016,325.91. The month-to-date expenses include our routine payroll, our monthly land maintenance, the electrical panel at Town Center Park, some legal services, the bulk fiber that was laid at the Town Center Park and the playground area, half of the cost of a custom matte mural for the conference room, a subscription to the Supermarket News, and membership dues for ICSC. As of June the 30th, 2018, we had a net revenue of $1,107,009.45, bringing your unassigned fund balance $2,660,861.46.
Any questions? I get a motion to accept the June 2018 financial reporting and related financial items. Motion made by member Hunter,
Second?
seconded by member Van Vessem. All those in favor? Passed unanimous. Move on to item number 4. Discuss and consider proposal from Impact Data Source for Impact Dashboard in the amount of $4,750.
Good evening, Board. This is a impact data source. It's for an impact dashboard model, which is able to show different incentive scenarios. So it shows you your return on investment, what your return rate is. And as you can see in your packet, you will see some samples of some of the projections that can get made and what that looks like. It takes into consideration spin-off jobs based on whatever the next code of the business is, so that you can see how many indirect jobs are being created in addition to the jobs that would be created for a specific industry. Then it takes into consideration the capital investment, and then you can go in there and work with the dashboard to create different scenarios. So if we did a tax abatement, you could put that in and figure out what the numbers would look like and when we would get our return on investment. If you did a sales tax rebate, you could put that in as well, or any other incentives that you wanted to give, to kind of show what the cost and our payback period is, and then the percentage of the rate of return in which we would get that back.
Have we done this before?
So a comparison would be for Lineage. When we looked at their abatement, I had contracted with this company to just do the one report, and this is actually being able to go in and instead of being able to go through one person and making changes and getting charged for every change. So on one project, I can do 5 or 6 different scenarios.
Without reading all this, just seeing this, where do they get their data? Is it real time?
It is real time. They input all of the data in for the city. So whatever our city taxes are, the Dallas County, the school district taxes, and then there's different scenarios that they do for property taxes. They'll do the appreciation values, they'll do depreciation values, and it's all put into a default setting. And then for the most part, that's what they find is going to be real numbers that they've used. They've done a little bit different for Sunnyvale based on relocation and people that would actually move here. They've dropped that percentage quite a bit because most of the people aren't going to move here. So that number is really low compared to other models that they've done.
So the numbers that are in here aren't actual, or are they?
Yeah, they're actual
Okay.
numbers. So every time I change a number, I get a real life feed of this, kind of this.
And how long does
chart
that
graph.
last? Is that like for a year?
It's
or-
a year.
So every year we would have to do this?
Mhm.
Or not necessarily? I mean, because
Right,
if we don't
but
have any
just-
growth, why would you do it?
Seeing how many projects we have that have come on board and then coming up, I think the investment to see what we're spending and what we would get would be worth it.
How much did it cost when you do just the independent reports?
$750 to $1,000.
Okay.
And then just asking for 4A and 4B to split the cost of the 43. $4,750. So just half of that cost from 4B.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think it makes sense. I mean, when we've had the incentive things that have come before us already and we don't know what
I
we're
think that it
comparing.
would help a lot for that.
And you'll see one example of one tonight.
I'm good with it.
So, so you want us to approve the 4750, or what do you want?
Half of the 4,750.
I'll make a
We
motion
do.
that we approve impact dashboard for 50% of the total $4,750 annual fee to be split between 4A and 4B.
Second.
Motion made by member Weiss, seconded by member Van Vessen to approve the proposal of impact data source, impact dashboard, in the amount of 50% of the 4750 split with 4A. All those in favor? Passed unanimous. Move on to item number 5, discuss and consider 2018-2019 budget with the following proposed projects. Incentives for $150,000. Town beautification for $25,000. Parks and trails for $150,000. Land acquisition for $300,000. Glacier Park improvements for $50,000. And rails to trails improvements for $200,000. Why do we have them separated?
Because one's a public hearing and one's discussing.
No, I'm talking about the parks and trails for $150,000. Then we have rails to trails.
So
Completely,
rails to trails is the land
completely separate what we're doing. All right.
And we're bringing this back before the board. Previously, you've already reviewed this budget and you've already approved it. However, with the dashboard, the impact data source for the dashboard that Tracy was asking about, we are amending the budget now for next year to include an additional $2,500 for that, your half of that fee for 2018-19.
It also allowed for us to do the public hearing on it, to be able to put the projects to the public hearing.
Right.
So that's the only change you're gonna see to the budget. It's just the addition of raising our dues and subscriptions and memberships account from what was originally presented at $3,000 now to $5,500.
I get a motion to accept the changes for our 2018-2009 budget for the following proposed projects, incentives. You want me to read all of these again? I didn't think so.
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Member Van Vessen, seconded by Member Hunter. All those in favor? Passed unanimous. Move on to item number 6. Discuss and consider presentation from the barn at Long Creek.
And Angie Navarro is here tonight to present to the board her project of the barn at Long Creek. So Angie.
Will that fit horses in there? Because that'd be a great project for Glazer.
You got a horse, bring it on out.
Do y'all have brochures? Thank you.
Oh, we have it on this
You
screen.
do now.
Maybe now.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not sure, most of you may have heard about us. We've been working on this for almost 2 years now. I'm happy to say the land has been purchased and the bank should be closing at the end of the month and we should be breaking ground. So we are ready to get started. We're going to be open for next spring and summer brides. So that's our thing. This is a white barn venue, but it'll hold weddings, but it'll also hold other things. Y'all don't have really an event center place in Sunnyvale, except for here in the town center, our town meeting place. So I think it'll be a big asset to the town, because it can hold up to 300 people, but it can also hold different size people. So I think we should be able to accommodate a lot of different things. Is this one? Oh, there we go. Okay, so the land that we purchased is 5.4 acres. It's on the corner of Pascal and Interstate 80. It's a very wooded piece of property. It's very beautiful. The parking lot will be at the beginning. It'll be up towards 80. And then the building will be about halfway down, and then the rest of the activities will be further down. So you may be able to see the top part of the building from the road, but you're not going to really notice it. You know, you'll know something's there, but we're trying to keep the highway noise away from us. So it'll seat 300, as I said. We have all the parking spaces. We can get 300 people inside, and then we have an outside. There is a full 1,100 square foot bridal suite upstairs, which is my pet peeve. And so, I do brides. I've done weddings for about 30 years now. So I've learned the things that are very important to brides, and bridal suites are very important. So that was kind of my dream right there. So this just tells you a little bit about me. Like I said, I've done weddings and stuff, party planning and catering for 30 years. We are building a full commercial kitchen inside the building, which will give us the opportunity to cater events, cater different things. I've done quite a bit of catering out here in Sanibel already for different people, so I'm hoping that will only expand. We can do catering outside of the building. We don't have to do just people that use the building. So that'll kind of give y'all another asset to have. We really believe that a successful wedding is important to the bride, that day is the most important day of their life. And I'm very much on customer service. People that work for me are very much customer oriented. So we will try to make everything as pleasant and as good. We also, in this part, it also says that we can host, I've already talked to people with the school district. We can host banquets, we can host proms, we can host any kind of events like that the school doesn't have a space to have. We can be that space. So we would definitely love to be able to work with the school and the school systems around. We're right in the middle of a bunch of small towns. So I think we could definitely, I've spoken to Forney before, and I think there's a lot of people we could pull from other towns also. This is something I probably don't know anything about much, but this is what I'm supposed to talk about. This is the utility plan. This is what we're coming before y'all to ask for, and there's some more papers that go with this. This is a completely undeveloped piece of property. So we are starting with new water lines, new sewer lines, electricity. We're not going to bring gas into it right now. We can't get gas to the property, not at a price that we can afford either. So we're going to do propane for the first little bit. Hopefully soon there'll be gas somewhere closer. So this kind of just gives you the layout. Like I said, the parking lot is at the front, and then you go down from there. So this is going to be, the utilities is what we're asking for the help. This is just another graph of the stuff we have to have. Layout of the building, this I understand. It has a bottom floor, and then it has a top loft floor. The bridal suite in the loft part is upstairs. Groom's room, bathrooms, kitchen, main room is all downstairs. There's a big patio that will seat 125 people covered, and then you walk down to an outside waiting space.
So the bride and groom's tables on the second floor, and the majority of
No,
the
the
people are
bride-
downstairs?
Most of the people are downstairs. The upstairs is used for overflow, but you can still seat it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just tables and chairs. The bridal suite is upstairs. The groom's room is downstairs.
Oh, the suites, I got you.
Yeah, which is what we've done.
But then, is there another floor at the bottom, underneath that main floor?
Yes,
Okay.
underneath.
It's like storage or something?
Storage, yeah. We're building on pier and beam because the
Yeah.
land is so slanted.
Right.
So it worked out really well because we have a whole storage we can actually drive under.
Yeah,
So all of our tables and chairs and things like that will be stored underneath.
gotcha.
So it's worked out well because we don't have to use our space up top to store stuff.
You gonna put an elevator in there?
We are not getting an elevator.
Trying to help you out there.
Are you getting an elevator? We have talked to the person about if we have to for handicap, whatever.
No, I was just thinking of the storage, I don't know.
Oh, the storage, no. We're having a ramp. It's gonna be a lot of labor. Young kid, we're gonna hire hopefully high school boys, people to do the chairs and stuff, but it'll be good.
So you are gonna have a ramp to get up to the, like I'm thinking if there's a bride whose mom's in a wheelchair or something
Well,
like
not to
that.
get up to the second floor. What we will have to do is, if there is a handicap bride, I've done it 30 years, I've had one. We can move the bridal suite downstairs. There's an extra room that we can turn into the bridal suite for the day. The elevator is not required because of the fact that we can do everything downstairs that we can do upstairs. Now, we did put in a dumbwaiter elevator thing to take the food upstairs. So we do have that, but we're going to try not to have to do the elevator right now. So then this is the upstairs. It's just mainly seating. There is a bar upstairs. And then the whole side there is the bridal suite. And they'll have 10 stations for brides to sit, or for bridesmaids to sit and do their makeup, do their hair. Has its private bathroom, seating area. It has a balcony that looks out the front of the barn. So I think it'll be, this is a list of, this is our list of our utilities. This is the cost. We've gotten 2 or 3 bids on everything. We've updated these just recently. So hopefully this is the current price that we've done. So this is what we're asking for, is some help with the utilities. Questions about it?
I have a couple, so I think we saw your business plan several meetings ago, and I know we had some questions just about on the business plan part.
Okay,
of
what,
it. Your projected revenues.
are you looking at the back sheet?
The year 1 through 5?
Yes.
Yeah. Was that, how did you come up with those numbers? Are you booked every weekend?
It's
with
not
this?
every weekend. This is a very conservative
Okay.
chart because the bank asked for it to be conservative. And we
Okay.
did one business plan that went to the bank. So at the first year, it has like renting it like twice a month.
Okay.
So we really, I think we can do much better. Hopefully we will do much better, but right now we just kind of took it on the conservative end just to make sure.
Because it looks like a pretty slow growth rate. That's why, or conservative.
Yeah, and it's very conservative.
Yeah.
We're going through SBA, and we've already got our SBA loan, but they wanted it very, we were going by their regulations.
Okay.
So that's why I think we can do way better than this, but this is why we have to go with them. Now, the catering services and the wedding cakes will all be sales tax taxable. The building rental itself is not taxable. So that will be where sales tax comes in. And then just the fact that we'll be bringing people to Sunnyvale that have never probably come to Sunnyvale, so they'll, be getting gas and food and different things like that too.
Do we know how much sales tax this is broken out over these 5 years?
I do, we'll discuss it later.
Okay.
Thank you, Tracy. Any other questions?
How many full-time employees will you have besides
Well,
you?
I have one other right now starting out with me. I have a florist that will work with me, but she has her own business, and she's in Sunnyvale. And so she will run her stuff separately, but she'll be working out of the barn. I have several other florists that will be working with me. We will have catering that we will provide, now I have a whole kitchen staff. It's hard to say, I won't have that many full-time employees, but I have a lot of contract labor employees because of the catering and stuff. I'll have someone that runs my kitchen, I'll have all my employees that I already have now to do the catering events and stuff. They'll actually work the events. Hopefully we will be adding more full-time employees soon.
But how's, as part of the catering stuff, the change or the recent ruling with being able to sell alcohol, wine and alcohol, will you be able to do beer and wine, or?
They will be able to serve beer and wine, but we will not purchase it and we will not sell it. We will not have a liquor license. What they will do is they will purchase it, bring it in. Bartenders have to be hired, and we'll be in charge of getting that done, and security has to be hired.
Right, okay.
The sheriffs out here will be doing security. So we will not sell it or buy it, but someone will be able to bring it in, and there'll be cutoff times, and there'll be rules, and it has to all be consumed within the building. It can't be out in the parking lot doing things. So it'll be very controlled.
Okay.
On the outside picture of this barn, are those like big doors? Do they close?
Yeah, they do.
Is that on both ends?
And no,
Just
the other
that.
end is windows,
Okay.
because it backs up to the forest. That's
Yeah.
not called the forest. So that's your view. Like if you're sitting in the big open room, you're looking at those windows. And then one side of the room is all glass. And those are glass doors that open completely up,
Is that the
out to
end?
the patio.
Is that the end of where the bride would be, or not?
No, the bride will
Is
be
it
in
the
the
other
front
end?
where that balcony is, on that front page.
Okay.
That will be her doors. She can go out to the balcony from there. But the glass doors, you can kind of see them on the second drawing. They're not very well drawn because that whole thing will be a glass door that opens completely up that we can go out onto the patio and extend more people.
Okay.
So, yeah. And the kitchen is on that front page, the kitchen is on the right side, on the wing.
And you mentioned that you're using up about half the space for the parking in the actual building of the full 5 acres, and I'm trying to count how many parking spaces you have here. It's a little shy of 100, right?
We have 100, this says 101.
Okay.
We are on track with whatever
So-
Sunnyvale's regulations are.
Just curious, we're doing the drainage survey, which impacts 80 and the floodplain just east of you. So is there retention on here? Because I don't see that in the cost of utilities for adding, there's a little bit for stormwater, but it doesn't say anything about retention.
That I probably don't know the answer to.
Okay.
If I remember right, that property does drain off.
It
And
does.
so her property, the way that it was gonna be set, will drain off into the creek.
Okay.
Because we have Long Creek besides, then we have a dry creek on the other side.
Okay.
And we're putting in crushed granite, so it should easily drain off. For the parking lot.
For the
For the
parking?
parking lot.
Parking lot is crushed granite. It's already been approved.
No,
And then
we're just
yeah.
asking. I mean, the picture looks like it's concrete, so.
I know, this is just the renderings.
Yeah.
The concrete is around the building and it, on the driveways for the fire trucks and stuff. There is concrete there.
And then what's your, you mentioned your ask is for utility support. I see the total dollar there, so what's your ask?
I want the total dollar. No,
What's that?
I would love to have the whole amount. It's become a very expensive project. It's at 3.6 million right now. So any extra help I can get as well. We've got the loan, we've got the SBA loan, but I think this will be just a good asset to the town of Sunnyvale. I think it'll be a good, money maker. It'll be a good place for people to go have things. I want to have city stuff out there. I want the building used at all times. I don't want to be sitting with an empty building Monday through Thursday. If there's garden club wants to meet out there during the day or whoever, I want it to be open. And it's a pretty piece of land. The Boy Scouts have even asked if they can come out there, and I was like, yeah, as long as it's not a wedding day, the Boy Scouts can come out and, do their hiking and stuff. It's a nice piece of property.
So we're hearing those numbers in executive session, is it? Okay. All right.
Looks good.
Any other questions?
Polly, you got any questions?
No.
No? You sure?
You got a readers on the,
She's reading.
And calculating.
I noticed.
All right. Sounds
you.
good. I think, it looks good.
It's going to be great. Thank y'all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for dinner too.
Yes,
You're
thank you.
Did we buy it?
All right, we will move on to item number 7, discuss and consider presentation from Sunnyvale Park Square.
Is that what this is?
That's not it. I think that's it.
No, that's
It's
not it.
this. And this.
Clicker working?
Yeah, shit.
Do I need to give my name and address? Okay.
You don't have to get a pink piece of paper.
Eric Salser, 345 New Hope Road, Sunnyvale, Texas. 15 years ago, in the old metal building town hall, if you've been around long enough to remember that, over across the freeway, my architecture firm interviewed to design this building that we're standing in right here. And we were not awarded that project. We came in second to Ron Hobbs. Beautiful building, loved this building. But the important thing about that night was we presented the idea of a town-centered district. There was no town hall, there was no town center park, there was no Trinity Capital Bank. The schools were, well, the old schools were what you saw. So even 15 years ago, there was a vision for this town-centered district. And the Sunnyvale Park Square is a piece of that vision. Our project will connect the town center park to the bank, to town hall, and then when Collins is widened and there's sidewalk going all the way down to the school. So this will be a key piece that I think will be a catalyst to growth in the town center district. And like Angie's project, this is a quality of life project with all kinds of work, play, eat. No living on our property, but just about everything else. We can see you having a party over at the park and walking over and having dinner at a restaurant, Park Square, getting coffee before a meeting, then walking across the sidewalk to Town Hall, or walking over to the bank, walking to the school, having dinner before the fireworks show and walking across the bridge. You're familiar where the site is. We took these drone shots just to give you context of how it is kind of the last piece in this quadrant of the Tripp and Collins intersection. I like this one the best because you can see Lake Ray Hubbard in the background there. You can see the school district, maybe even some of your houses back over there. But the key here is the connection to the park and to Town Hall. We're actually planning to extend on our expense the trail system that comes across the bridge from the park and the one that currently dead ends over behind the bank that will go right through the center of our property. There's a green space in the middle that is an outdoor lawn game area with patio dining, with the coffee shop and the restaurant. And then on the other side of the building, of the property, is a 20,000 square foot office building. In that office building, we already have commitments for title company, for lawyers, for a collaborative workspace, which will be an incubator for business, executive suites, and back of house help for companies that are getting started that need legal and marketing and CPA help. We have I think I maybe mentioned a CPA firm, but other companies as well are already negotiating with us to, under letter of intent, to come into the space. So besides being a family-friendly outdoor area, it will be a place of business. It'll be a Class A office building that's 2 minutes from where all of us live. This is kind of the flavor of the project. These are inspiration images from all over kind of hill country towns in Texas. A lot of these are from San Antonio and Fredericksburg area, that kind of thing. Our total project cost with land and everything is just a little over $7 million, $7.1 million. Yes, it's an expensive building. Class A building. This is kind of...
I thought it sounded low. Is that the land cost was already baked into that? Or is that part?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the total square footage of the entire project is 25,000 square feet.
Okay.
As a leasable area. So, if you do the cost per square foot. But,
Yeah.
This is kind of the inspiration of the executive suite co-working space, incubator space. These are just some inspiration images of what the coffee shop will look like.
Is that the actual, or is it pretty close to what
Oh yeah,
the
this will
coffee?
be close. Yeah.
Yeah.
These are the images.
Because I know you have somebody already set up on the coffee, right?
Right.
Or,
We've given these images to the architects, and I'll make sure that they follow through on the design intent. If you're on Collins Road looking back towards the restaurant, the coffee shop, that's the view you're going to see, with some outdoor fireplace and patio dining on the left there, and a main entrance in the middle. The materials of the building are stone and limestone and brick and metal and all kinds of... we want this building to look old the day that it's built. This is the view looking from Town Hall, just as if we're standing in the parking lot out there, just looking to the north. There's a covered parking garage of over 30 parking spaces, which really no project has that in the area.
is that for business owners? or anything?
Yeah, those are reserved parking spaces. There's some accessible handicap spaces under there as well. This is just kind of a floor plan of the first floor. You can see a lot of it's parking garage on the first floor. The L-shaped building up there is the restaurant coffee, and then the rectangle that's up and down there is retail or office space that's on the first floor of the office building. And then upstairs, there's the main part of the office building. The collaborative space, incubator space will be on the back, 6,000 square feet on the back side of the building that'll overlook the park. So just a few numbers, and I've given some of these numbers to Tracy. The infrastructure cost of the project is 1.1.5 million, 1.2-ish. Nearly 200,000 of that 1.2 is just our underground detention vault that we have to build, which is humongous. The reason we have to do that, we have to excavate out to bury that thing and then build the site back up. If you've noticed, we cleared the trees on the site, and the reason we did that is because we have to build the site up because we're burying all the detention pond.
Where does that go
It's
on the
in
map?
It's in the very back. If you look at
Under the
on your
parking.
screen, is this showing up on your screen?
Yeah,
Under,
On the
yeah.
very back left, it's buried under the parking lot. It's 200 feet long. It's 5 big pipes
Yeah.
that fill up and then release out to the creek back here behind Town Hall. The reason we have to do that is because the new Collins Road widening will not
Yeah, you won't be able to drain that way.
doesn't have any capacity now or in the future, which is what's caused us to have to do this extra detention. So just a few other little notes on site utilities or.
Yeah, old code.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Derek. I was just
I
wondering if
wasn't.
we had that
It
here.
sounded like I was complaining. I was frustrated. I think that Collins Road should have been designed to carry all of the development, stormwater of the town center district, but that is not the case. So each individual developer is going to have to accommodate that. Unless you have a property like Angie's or Town Hall or even the bank that don't cover as much of the property, they can get the absorption into the permeable area and they don't have to detain or retain the water.
so that'll be the case across the street too, then, all the way down?
Yes,
Yeah.
everything across the street will have to be detained. And the difference is the detention, this will be detention, it'll keep it and then let it go out at a metered rate
Right.
to the creek, which is great for keeping floods from happening. Retention would be trapping it on site and keeping it there long-term, which we don't have room for that. This is just a 2-acre site.
Is it those big tube-looking things?
The ones we're putting in are, yes.
Yeah, I've seen them before at a show for parking lots like
Yeah,
that.
they're pretty neat.
Yeah, they are.
That's the reason they're $200,000.
right.
Exactly.
And the retaining walls that have to go with it and all the other expenses. Putting in a fire lane all around the building, a fire line with 2 additional fire hydrants. So all these things just add up to over $1 million. Of course, we're not asking for $1 million for this, but we think that what this will add in quality of life and setting the standard for development of the town center district is really the reason we're asking for help for 4B.
And you effectively fill the full space. There's no wasted space.
No, there's no wasted
Yeah.
space.
You've got your green space at the front that's set back off of Collins, but
Yep, we have landscape buffers.
And then-
Actually, the landscape architects that are designing our site are the same architects who are doing the new Ranger Stadium and all the outdoor venue that's over there by the stadium.
How many suites do you think you'll have altogether? I know it could vary,
in the-
but
In the executive suite co-working area or the entire?
the tire,
How many businesses will go into this building?
yeah.
You know, I think we'll probably have, office-wise, maybe 12 to 15 different businesses in the building. Now, the executive suites, you may have 15 or 20 companies just within that suite, because
Right,
there
yeah.
could be a one-person shop or two-person shop, or, and the way the suite is gonna be set up, and kind of the working, label and name for the space is the Sunnyvale Exchange. And so the Exchange will be the work, the collaborative work environment powered by a company called Co-Create.
Do you have a restaurant already?
We have the coffee shop already, Hope Coffee, and we have several restaurants that we're negotiating with.
Okay.
And we can't announce those yet, but we have a lot of interest, especially after this recent vote that occurred in May.
So from a sales tax standpoint, from our end of the spectrum, the office space is primarily professional space, so but it attracts to the retail, which
Right.
generates sales tax, right? So
I think you have to look at like the catalyst of
Right.
the area. And yes, there will be tax from the restaurant and the coffee shop. And maybe there could be some retail on the first floor of the office building. You know, some realtors have
Right.
talked to us, and other little operations like a mail center, like a youth store.
Will you have
So
to have commitment from restaurant A before you pour concrete?
No. This design is flexible, that, you know, we're not pouring the inside concrete of any of that front building until we know the restaurant that's going in there. And they'll
Yeah, so
come
you
in
get your
with their
layout and all
plumbing
that
in,
stuff, so.
Whatever they need. So we'll build the whole shell, but I don't think we'll have that problem. What we're planning to do is finish out the interiors of all of this while we build the shell building. So if we break ground the next 30 days, then we plan to open February, March of next year, which will be right during the patio dining season, which will be a good time before it gets really hot.
So the way I'd like to think of it, on a smaller scale, it's kind of like, you're probably familiar with the Shire up in Richardson,
It's a mixed-use development.
going
very
back
family-friendly.
before all the other stuff was there. You know, Dale put in his restaurant and an office space, and 15 years later, it's turned into what it is, you know, so it's,
Yeah.
so as you're saying, it's the catalyst.
Yeah.
that-
And in 2 acres, you can't solve all the,
Right, but it gets the ball rolling for,
but I think it will set a standard for family-friendly outdoor venue, lawn game area, patio dining, work, eat, play. We hope it'll be a really fun destination.
Just curiously, do you guys have your, like, price per square foot for your leasing, like office lease space, where you're gonna be at?
It's $30 a square foot.
Yeah. That's Class A.
It is Class A. But you know, over here at Town East
so
Tower,
it's 10% of your build cost,
it's,
which is $300.
over here at Town East Tower, there's spaces that are $25 and $26 a square foot. Trend Tower on Lake Ray Hubbard is $28 a square foot. There's a new building, a new medical office building that'll be right down here at Collins and 80 that's in that range. So it's getting expensive
Yeah,
to have office space.
it is.
Did I leave anything out?
Looks great.
Yeah.
It really does, yeah.
On
That's exactly
What we need.
what
on the
I-
color page,
Yeah.
will it be red brick?
Yes.
So,
That,
a
as in
mix,
that
right?
page right there.
Mm-hmm.
It will be a red antique brick, maybe not as red as that looks.
Kind of like,
The West End.
well, I'm
Yeah.
thinking like Rowlett, Bankhead kinda, or that's darker?
Yes, like Bankhead. If you've been over to, I have another project under construction now in Heath called The Hub, right there on Ridge Road near the CVS. That has similar palette of materials, though that's a very contemporary building. This is,
And it augments the one I'm thinking of, the Bankhead augments the multicolored across the street, which is kinda like this.
sure, and, you know, we want to have limestone and brick, kind of like, you know, we studied these old hill country downtowns, and we found all kinds of things. Exposed trusses and metal and, you know, just kind of organically grew these old downtowns back down in the hill country. So we've taken bits and pieces of that and melded them together, and if we did it right, it won't look like a hodgepodge of a bunch of stuff. It'll look like a cohesive cousin to Town Hall and to the bank. We
Look
didn't
like
want to go all stone.
See, that's my thing. I just wonder, like, I'm the girl of the group up here. I'm just wondering, like, with nothing else is red, so I'm wondering how that's gonna, I don't know. I'm just curious. I can't envision it like that, and once you build it, then it's too late. 'Cause like Trinity Capital and this kind of
Make it
match.
pop. It's gonna
Yeah,
pop.
if you look over at
The roof's gonna
South
match.
Lake Town Center,
Yeah.
or, you know, some of those other town center districts, you'll see quite a variety. My architecture firm that I used to have, my partner was the guy who did Sundance Square, all those original 14 buildings, and each one of them, they're historic buildings that we renovated, but they're all different. So I think the variety is what I told P&Z and council as we were coming through the process earlier this year, is what we were going after. Not to match, but to be a kind of a cousin.
Yeah. I've heard comments that people don't want all the same. So this is good.
So same thing, you've got numbers for the,
Yeah.
so that's the next question. Looks neat.
Yeah,
That looks
that's great.
awesome, Derek.
We're excited to come and finally get the groundbreaking soon. So
Yeah.
our plans are in for permit now. We're on the second round of review comments, and hopefully we'll have those turned in next week.
I'm excited about you connecting voluntarily with the trail system and doing that. One comment from previous donated stuff is just check with our parks guy to make sure it's all ADA. Your property, I'm sure, will be 100% ADA,
Oh,
but
it will.
the bridge that was donated wasn't, and we had to retrofit it and fix it, so.
I've already had our project reviewed by the ADA inspector, and we got the report back yesterday, and it's compliant. So now we just have to build it like
Yeah.
it's drawn.
Right.
It looks sharp there, it
I
really
mean-
does.
When did you, how big of a retention wall are you talking about?
Oh, man.
I mean,
It's 5 feet tall. If you know back where the container is back here,
yeah,
there's gonna be a 5-foot
Drop wall?
retaining wall that'll have a fence on top of it that'll run the length of the back of the property. I mean, you won't see it, the building will block it.
no, I'm just, as Erica just talked about that bridge, my concern is that creek back there. There's nothing holding that dirt at all back there.
Oh, that's not my scope.
No, I understand. I just hate for a 5-foot wall to fall
Oh,
apart.
well,
Oh, yeah.
no,
It's-
our detention pond has an underground outlet that goes from our big pipes underground through park property, through an easement. Then it will discharge into the creek with all kinds of engineering that keep it from eroding down there, if that's what you're asking. So there's not a rush of water that's gonna come off of our property.
No, I'm not. I'm concerned about that, no doubt. But I'm not concerned about you doing the wrong thing. I'm just concerned about that eroding even later on.
How far
It's
back is it from the creek, that back
Your
retaining
wall.
wall?
Oh, it's a good 60, 70 feet
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
that's what I'm
fine. Yeah,
from the middle of the creek.
yeah.
Yeah, I think, who's thinking if you're much closer than that, buyer beware.
Is that
One
raises-
quick little trivia bit here, when our surveyors were surveying the park property so that we could do our outlet, they found a grave site, a headstone. You know who it is? is Bud the cat. Remember the town cat? Bud the cat was an 18-year-old cat. I guess he passed away in 2006 or 7. He lived at Town Hall. And he was there the night that we presented our designs for.
Wow.
for
Somebody
this
buried
building.
him out
But
there.
yeah, Bud, his headstone, if you go back there after the meeting, his headstone's back there in concrete.
You're
just-
building around it, right?
Our easement misses it, so our
Oh, okay.
engineer said we went around it. So.
Nice, that's what you said, yeah.
So out of curiosity, how much does your stormwater retention hold? Like X inches for 5 hours or?
Detention, not retention.
Yeah,
These things are always over-designed.
I was just curious.
It holds a certain flood event. I'm not sure
Okay,
if it's a
yeah.
20-year flood or how many cubic feet or whatever.
So many inches per hour.
Some of these
for-
things, because I've seen
I
it,
can look it up.
and some of you can walk in.
Well, I know
They're-
that.
they're
I
Yeah,
just-
massive.
these are 5-foot diameter pipes.
No. Big.
It's gonna take a while for them to drain.
Yeah.
It's nice to see the town catching up with what they should have been doing for a long time.
Well, I think it looks great, Derek. Thank you very much.
Very nice.
Guys.
Oh, were you asking for a certain, like a specific percentage of,
It's in that 7% of the total, it was $500,000.
oh, okay, sorry, I missed that.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 8. Discuss and consider presentation from Alice Charles, Development.
And for Alice's project on the dais, you have copies of her project. Yes. Yes, please.
Alice Charles, 396 Dobson Road, Sunnyvale. That's my residential address. We have purchased about 6 acres of land on Beltline. It's 2 lots now. The first lot is 3501 Beltline is the address of the property. You all know Ben's Tire Shop, so this is the property that's next to it. There used to be the antique, there was an antique, like a
Barn, church.
barn, yeah, kind of thing before. There, the white picket fence in the
Right next to
front,
Ben's Tires on Beltline Town East.
across from the golf course.
Is there an old house out there too? that-
There is an
There's
old
an
house
old
still in
building
there.
still out
Yeah,
there.
that's part of the property. We are proposing to put a 72,000 square feet building. It's total of around 6 acres of land. And we are looking to put in a 2-story building with the bottom all going to be retail and restaurants. And we would like to have at least 2 restaurants, fine dining style restaurants in the bottom. In the drawings, we are incorporating 2 drive-throughs if the restaurants want to use them. And the second floor is mainly for offices. We are looking to attract large office tenants like large real estate office, medium-sized insurance, main office, those kind of offices. We will also be moving our current office to this building. We currently are on Beltline on our insurance office. That will be moved to this upstairs as well once the building is complete. The plan is in the very preliminary stage with the town. We are working with the town staff on the site development. We are still working with the drawings according to with the city staff helping us and guiding us on all the requirements. So that's still being worked on, and Eric Davis Engineering is helping us with the drawings on it. By bringing in this building, we want to bring in some really fine dining restaurants, something, we would like to have a Cheesecake Factory or similar restaurant, similar style restaurants up there. We are putting in 15 feet ceiling for the first floor because these restaurants like to do build outs inside. So to accommodate that, we are doing a 15 feet high ceiling on the first floor. This project will definitely enhance that area. You'll know that there is nothing there right now. It's just land barely with nothing much. So once this comes, it's going to change the look of the area, enhance the area, probably attract more developers to come in and build along either side of the property and maybe across too. And with this project, we expect to have, not just restaurants, but also like other small businesses maybe, and services that will really enhance and help and will be, attractive to the community, bringing new jobs and also revenue for the town.
Does your property open up onto Town East or just only onto Beltline?
It will be opening up, the entrance will be from Beltline.
Okay.
And the total project cost at completion, it's going to be around $12 million is what we expect it to be. And the infrastructure cost is, from the estimated, looks like it's going to be $2.5 million.
And is it just the wooded space or does it
Yeah,
incorporate that
No. it's
empty
right here.
parking lot? that's
This
out
is a
there?
different piece of property,
Okay.
and this is a different piece of property.
Right.
So it's
Yes.
just here.
It's a square where it says
Yeah.
site and the trees. Oh, well, I didn't see that
You,
page.
you have,
That answers
you
it.
have two views here. Um,
Hmm?
Is there two complete different buildings, or is it
No,
just?
they have a view from the front and one from the back.
Oh, so the bottom picture is the
Front.
back.
Front.
That's the front.
This is the front, that's the back.
No, what, cause here's Beltline.
Yeah.
So this is.
Can I give you all a picture to look at? This is how the front of the building is going to look like.
Yeah, so it faces Beltline,
Yeah, it faces Beltline.
right, and then over
It's
here.
kind
is
of an
the tire
L-shaped
shop.
building,
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's going to face Beltline.
but then you've got parking on both sides and. Are you attempting access to Town East or is that off the?
No, there is no
They
access
can't-
to
they
town
can't- They have
east.
no access because that other piece of property is totally different.
Correct.
And it would go into Berlin
So I was
Baptist
just
Church.
asking.
Yeah.
That's the front.
Neat.
Yeah, this curves out, this curves in.
Right,
Yeah.
so that's the back. That's the front.
Being such a big project, we need like really good support from the town and help, with infrastructure cost and everything coming up. So that's why we are here to ask for some help from the board.
So these businesses that would be on the back side won't be visible from Town East at all?
Actually, the front is, all of them will be facing, Beltline. All the businesses will be facing Beltline.
Yeah, that's the L, that's what she's talking
It's
about.
kind of like an L-shaped building.
But you could, since that parking's back there, you could maybe come in from either side, I guess.
You can access the building from the front and the back. And there's going to be stairways taking to the second floor on both sides of the building. And then also, I think, through the middle. And then also elevator, there will be an elevator in the middle of the building for the tenants and customers who have to, use the upstairs.
How far along are you in the project?
We are actually at this point at the site plan. We are getting it replatted and all at the same time. We are planning on starting the project for spring of next year, maybe first quarter of next year. That's what the plan is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is the funding coming straight from your company?
The funding
developer?
will be, there will be mortgage. We have approached Citibank in Pony, and they have helped us with other projects that we have worked on. So, we will be doing funding through them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you doing any other projects nearby?
We had done a small office on Beltline. We have built, an office with a restaurant.
Yeah.
That's right across from CVS, kind of adjacent to CVS on the
Oh,
other
yeah.
side.
Mhm.
That's a project that we have done in Sunnyvale, but we had done an apartment project with Citibank in Fort Worth before.
Okay.
No, you're saying on the same side as CVS?
Across the street from
Next.
CVS.
Across the street
Across
from
the street.
CVS, there is a small red
Chicken.
roof building with a restaurant on one side and an insurance office.
Oh, yeah.
So it's actually
The good
two
fast
buildings
chicken.
down, the old Kearney store.
Oh, yeah. And then that's a drive-through, one of those, at one end
Yeah, there are
there's a
two drive-throughs on each end, and we are expecting restaurants to occupy those two spaces. And we put the drive-through in there, so that it will be an additional benefit for the restaurant, on the bottom floor at both ends of the building.
Is that development, you probably know this, the one behind CVS that has kind of a similar look and feel where the med prim is in there, the nail salon, there was a Subway.
Yeah.
Is that completely occupied now?
I think there is
No.
there was like a
No.
exercise facility or something that's still vacant. And then
Okay.
maybe one more spot, that's what we think.
So
Okay.
Papillon Fitness and Metro PCS have closed down out of that building.
Yeah.
Well, the
and
owner
cell phone
asked,
place.
the owner asked them to
Whatever.
vacate their leases too. I know that at least they did Papillon because they said they had somebody that wanted to combine that whole space. So,
And do we have a specific proposal for the amount that you're asking for? or is it-
I'm looking for 7% of the total cost,
Uh-huh.
and that
But you
comes
said
up
it was
to-
two,
The total cost of completing the building will be 12 million, so we're looking at around like 840,000, which will help us towards the infrastructure costs mainly.
All right. Any questions? No?
no?
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much. All right, we will move on to item number 9, discuss and consider purchase of holiday decor for Town Center Park.
So just real quick, we had approved this in November 14, 2017 to spend up to $10,000 on lights or something for the four corners at Collins and 80. And looking at that further, there's really not any way we can put something there and be able to light it up. Like the board had talked about wanting something that lights since it gets dark so early. So the thought was doing a park display at Town Center Park and having it put up at the entryway when you come into Town Center Park. Couple of different options, still keeping within that $10,000 range. Robert's been talking to Clark Electric about setting up the electricity to be able to get it to the display, which is feasible, would work, and it would still stick with it, still stick within that $10,000. So I'm just asking that if we are still in favor of doing the $10,000 and be able to do something this year, because now's the month to do it, June and July are the months to buy it, that's when you get your biggest price breaks, that if y'all could re-motion that to be for a $10,000 holiday decor in an area within town, area of town within Sunnyvale city limits that is visible to the public.
Is it visible, but you have to pull in to the park to see it?
Only because of the trees that are there, but you should be able to kind of drive by and see that there's a light, because we're gonna try to put it up as the front of the park entrance as much as possible, depending on where we can get the electricity.
just that meets the intent for what we were originally.
And there's only one way in and out of that park, so if people start driving to look at it,
Yeah.
you're gonna have you could have a traffic jam if it's.
What, why can't we just stick with the original plan of the four corners?
We can't get electricity to the park.
Yeah, but we had talked about like big ornament things. You wouldn't, nothing to light, but I mean, big Christmas bulb or Santa Claus or whatever, ribbons or something like that. I mean, I think if we put it in the park, we may know it's there, but who else is going to see it if that's the only place we put it? You're not gonna see, yeah,
Yeah, just the people that go to the park.
yeah. I mean, at least at the corners, I mean, it's people that drive in and out all day long, and, I just think in my opinion, at least people will see it. I think if in the park, we're not gonna see that stuff.
Yeah, it's like the lighting of the windmill out here, everybody sees that.
Yeah,
I mean,
and the
you can
Christmas
see it.
tree,
Right.
I mean, everybody's gonna see it, but if you go in the park,
Yeah, I agree.
you know,
Yeah.
that's the only thing I'm thinking of. I mean,
If we did Jobson, it'd be better. And there's already power out there. Since they cut the trees.
Yeah, I'm trying to go where. That's not bad.
I just know, I mean, in talking to Nikki, I mean, she's the one who was spearheading this and lights. And, the balls we did look into, they're gonna be greater than $10,000 to be able to do the big balls. Something big enough that you can see.
Yeah,
That'd
that
make
would,
my son happy.
what, the big wall? I mean, Jobson, you know, I mean, that's something, yeah, I'm just thinking that the entrance of the Four
Right, yeah,
Corners,
I like-
everybody sees it, not only sidewalk people, Mesquite sees it. It's just like when when you drive downtown east, I mean, when they decorate their streets for Christmas, I mean, you see it.
I mean, before I would spend
We were
money
talking
doing
about
the park, putting in the park, I would spend that money and make what we have around town hall nicer. Because you already have electric here,
Yeah.
you're gonna drive by that anyway. It's not gonna make it any more trafficy really
They're
because
doing
people are
the thing
going.
next door and the trees
Yeah.
are all gone, so you can see it even
You'll be
more.
able to see it better, and maybe just upgrade what we have here since we already have electricity. And that way, when you have the tree lighting and stuff, it's pretty. Like maybe add more lights and.
I
Or
think
a-
that's a good idea. It's the
this
visibility I'm
building.
looking at.
Because I'm not against more lights, but I'm telling you, you can only go in and out that one way at that park. So that might cause a problem if people are, oh, let's go look at the lights, and then everybody's crossing paths. I don't
You could
know.
do some-
And there's no light there, there's no stop sign there.
There's only a few power.
It might be worse.
Yeah. I'm not opposed to the cost. I just think just doing it in the park is the visibility. That's all I'm thinking of. If we could do it at town hall, spend more money at town hall or the corners. I mean, I don't know. I didn't think those big red balls were going to be $10,000 or more, whatever they are.
Or even right out here on where the light posts are, on the brick, on
Yeah.
town hall, that'll have power.
Yeah, I'm
And
saying
a lot of
like,
people would see that.
you could do some kind of winter thing back here, and people could come up.
Encourage people
I mean,
to
you
go
could
back
encourage. I don't know. I think maybe we need to look at other options besides the park,
Yeah,
and maybe we, since we don't have electricity, and that'd be, I mean, it might not take that much money. It might take half that to make the town hall look really, really nice.
And if we get whatever we end up with, I would imagine that the bank would not bark too much if we were able to put stuff on their corner.
Right.
I mean, it's more of a selling point for them as well. Yeah, hey, we're part of the town, we're part of the community. Hey, we're still putting this stuff out here.
That'd be kind
you
of
know.
cool, yeah, if you could integrate it and then visit with these guys once their building's done, if you could
Right.
tie it
Tie it
in.
all
Tie it all
together.
together.
Make it like a little thing. I mean, I don't know if there's electricity, but light that bridge or something, because people could kind. I don't know.
No, I mean it's possible.
I
mean, at
guess
some
I would
point-
look at more options
And
that are
in the
easier to
park, me,
access.
it would be neat if you could do it along the parts of the
That's fine,
path
if
that are
it's
actually
still
lit, to where people park and they'll
Motion
walk.
this.
Yeah.
Because right now our motion is strictly for the Four Corners. So
sounds like we don't know what we want to do.
Discuss and consider purchase of the holiday decor for Town Center Park.
So do you have like a brochure on
We don't want-
Christmas stuff? I mean, like cost wise?
but
Or
look
no?
at the staff recommendation, that would be the suggested motion.
Where I don't see it.
All this says is
I
discuss and consider purchase of
Of
holiday
this?
In
decor
your
for
packet.
Town Center
Yeah.
Park.
Did everybody
All
get
the way
that?
towards the back, I printed you Because I know you and Eric don't have
What page?
your laptops. All the way to the third page from the back. Fourth page from the back.
It was like 93 pages or something. I'm like,
My printer ran out of paper.
I was going through there, I was like, I'm going to sleep.
You guys don't have computers anymore.
Oh, here, I found it.
After I printed the 3 minutes that were separate, I printed this book, and then they were in the book. I was,
You need copies, I'll print copies out for them.
You didn't happen to talk to Nikki about this, did you, before she left, or what was her idea? So,
She thought it was a good idea, but
a good idea for what?
Yeah, so
for the park,
the most
but
for the
I'm
park.
sure she would kind of, these are some great suggestions and other options, so I don't see that she'd be upset at anything.
Are there any,
No,
are there any places on that path that have electricity?
no.
On the, like, the
Walking
trail
path, the trail path?
just at where the lights are. I'm good with the motion. It's just under the background information where it talks about town center. As long as we are open to where to use it.
And that's why that,
That
the
is visible
motion
to
is
the
left open-ended, to
Right.
be able to,
And I know it's open, I just like cost to maintain and it wear and tear and people tearing, like just taking care of it, like it probably does need to be somewhere where you can keep an eye on it a little bit, because people like to not take care of things.
out at the, let's just say Town Center Park, they would have that.
So that part would be good.
But even all, they have people that come and take pictures out by the lights and a little bit.
So basically, all we're really doing is asking to
Remotion it to-
remove the limit of 4 corners.
Yes.
Okay.
Same budget amount, just
Correct.
not limited to 4 corners, so you
Correct.
could use it anywhere else.
Sounds good.
Can I get a motion?
Make a motion to change our budgeted item of $10,000 for holiday decor at the 4 corners area, only to remove it from the 4 corners to be used in visible location within the city limits of Sunnyvale, town limits of Sunnyvale.
Second.
Motion made by member Weiss, seconded by member Van Vessen. All those in favor? Pass it unanimous to move the holiday decor to as an open area, not as just restricted to the 4 corners, to wherever town staff recommends. All right. Or whatever they want to do. Move on to item number 10, discuss and consider purchasing policy.
So at the last board meeting, it asked about, when do we do quotes? So that's when this came up. This that you have in your packet is the actual town purchasing policy, but it was brought to my attention that on the dais, you'll also have another, 4B had adopted a purchase policy back in 2015. And so that was not in your packet, but it is on the dais for you to review. It's very similar to the one that the town has with a few changes. So my question, I see some changes that need to be made within the purchasing policy that was adopted by the 4B in 2015. But I wanted to ask some questions on what you would like to see as far as where you're comfortable and where you want quotes. Do you want 3 quotes at $2,500, 3 quotes at $5,000? What do you see?
I remember when we started talking about this back at that meeting, it was because we had 3 bids on landscaping, and it wasn't apples to apples. One, they were planting stuff. One, they were just mowing. One, they were mowing, trimming, cleaning, and it was like they were totally different. And we were like, if we're gonna get the bid, it needs to be for the same thing. Like, we want to mow, trim, clean, and plant. And like, are you planting a tree? Are you planting a little dwarf Nandina? Because those cost different amounts. It was like, what we were getting, what the bids weren't for the same work. Does that make sense?
Okay.
And so it was a little confusing. So, I mean, I think one thing is when we do get the bids, we need to make sure that we specify what it is we're asking for.
So Tracy, is staff recommending, do you think 2,500 is low or right on, or do you think it ought, in your experience, is that a waste of time under 5,000? I just,
Well, in most of the purchasing policies, as you'll see in the staff memo, if you'll take a look at that, you'll see that a lot of the purchase policies that I pulled from different towns, it was the 3,000, purchase less than 3,000, no quotes are required, anything between 3,000 and 50,000, you have informal or non-council quotes bids that require 3 written quotes. But then I guess there's some legalities about using the historically underutilized businesses as well, if they're available for whatever you're doing. So I need to look into that a little bit further. But this typically what's in the staff memo is what I've seen in about 4 different purchasing policies. So, I mean, I'd probably stick within that just because it seems to be pretty common and it goes back to the Texas Government Code
Yeah.
and what their policies are. So I would utilize that. I think in ours, kind of utilizing that, but also in there breaking out, it talks about proper bidding procedures. What is a proper bidding procedure? So adding that here so that anybody who comes along can say, this is what you did, this is what we followed, this was our procedure, rather than directing them into another document. We have it all contained in one document. So I plan on working up an actual purchase policy to bring back to you, but I just wanted to kind of gauge what y'all's thoughts were and what you want to see when you're looking for quotes.
I think this is good. I remember what Polly's talking about. That was kind of a
It was all over the place.
more isolated incident, though, for the most part.
The one, why y'all created this in 2015?
Well, yeah, well, in the quote she's talking about, where it was like nobody was on the same page. So it was just, it didn't make sense. It was a waste of time.
Sure.
So, but yeah, just having good, solid, apples to apples bids, however you word that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that'll come up a whole lot. That was pretty unique. It was just strange,
Yeah.
is what it was. It was like maybe they didn't get asked the same question.
Question,
Yeah.
exactly.
And then last month when we were getting the breakdown on all the different things, it was just, or it appeared that it was, here's the one guy I talked to and here's what it costs. And I already did this, I just want to get reimbursed for it, and you're kind of like, and so that's where coming up with whatever the, if it's 2,500 or 3 or 5,000,
Yeah.
to your point, what's
Well,
the right dollar amount, but then like the tennis courts and basketball court surfacing, that was one bid, you know, and
Well, and I also know too, there's things that you need that it's closer around here. I think that was another thing, like he didn't want to have to come and wait 60 to 30 days to have a meeting if he needed to go buy something, wanted to be able to buy something
yeah, like
that, like
lawn motor thing.
Yeah,
pump
like
motor
your-
thing,
the- a new lawnmower, I don't know, that was like $800, but we had to wait to have a meeting, and meanwhile the grass is growing really tall in the space that only the lawnmower could get to. It's kind of like, you need to have some flexibility up to a certain amount where you don't have to come ask us every time, because it's just a given, we need that, and that's pretty much what the cost is.
And we've got that. It's just,
Yeah.
you're wanting to spell it out a little bit more.
Right, and more so for just where you want your quotes from. So is saying 3,000 or above for 3 quotes, apple to apple quotes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that'd be, I mean, that sounds good to me, but does that sound good to you?
The reason I would agree with that is in kind of talking to Robert and Phyllis, we had talked a little bit about 5,000. It just seems like a lot of work for just a minute $2,500, $3,000. I know that's not minute, but
Right.
in essence, getting all of that. But like I said, looking at these other town purchasing policies, they all kind of fit in that same realm. So I don't see going outside the box for that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm
Not
let's do that.
reinventing the wheel, I mean, it's just.
Right.
right. Well, it just shows fiscal responsibility. Like
Sure.
people know we didn't just go, oh, we got one bid and here's writing you a check or whatever, signing over. I mean, it's like we did look, they're all pretty close. This is
And document it. So if you sought multiple bids and 3 companies told you that it's not worth my time to come quote that, but one does.
And those are considered no bids.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
And
at
document
least
that.
have it documented, you know.
And I think even in some of these purchasing policies, it says that 2 no bids count as 1 quote. So then you'd have to have 2 people actually tell you no to account for 1.
Okay, that's good.
So, I mean, just tidbit information that we can spell this out a little bit more to be more comprehensive.
Yeah, I know it was we were trying to lessen a little bit of the burden on the economic developer, or director, because he was having to come back for tiny stuff,
Owner. Good.
so.
It does say in here, and I wasn't sure why, the department heads can delegate up to $500 in spending authority for any type of expenditure. Do y'all know?
That was what Polly just talked about. I think that was Rand. If I'm not mistaken, that was, I was joking about toner, but it was something like
Like
that.
incidentals,
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
like the way it was written before this,
Yeah, because toner's not
if he
cheap,
wanted to go buy
but it's not expensive.
an ink cartridge, he couldn't do it. So we had to get, like, there were a few little things that
Yeah.
came up that one month that it was just ridiculous, him having to wait on, like, well, yes, I mean, you're gonna go 3 different stores, that's gonna cost within $1 of each other, buy it.
Yeah.
You don't
That's
have to
what it was.
ask us for that. So we were trying to give him enough money on some of those little things you could just get.
I say we keep that if something comes up.
Yeah.
We can look at it again or whatever, but yeah, we want you to be able to buy stuff without having to ask us every time.
Then I'll plan on putting together something more formalized to bring back next time. So no action is needed, I'll just bring it back next time.
Sounds good. All right, we'll move on to item number 11, updates on the following requests from the Parks Department.
So I just wanted to update y'all on a couple of things. Robert is getting other quotes for the resurfacing of the tennis courts, just to see if there was something that does come in cheaper, so he's still working on that. The replacement of additional cameras, so right after our meeting, during our meeting, Robert had mentioned how the cameras were working great, everything was going smoothly. Well, 2 days later, 5 out of 8 of the cameras at Town Center Park just stopped working. Clark Electric has been out there, Encore's been out there, and Axiom has been out there, and nobody can figure out what happened, but they have not worked. So they're not asking for anything from us right now to fix the cameras or anything, but he is going and talking to Dawn with Axiom about the cost for the Zoom rather than just the PTZ, just the Zoom. So he's waiting on him to get back on some quotes. He's sending some pictures, but he wasn't real sure what the pictures were saying.
So now it may make sense to just replace the whole system.
Well, Robert and I
Since
talked, yes, Robert and I talked
90%
about
of
that
it
today, because he was talking about something else, and I said, well, you remember Mr. Weiss brought up what it would take to just redo the whole system, so he's gonna talk to Don about that and see.
I think that stuff has gotten considerably cheaper
Yeah.
since probably when this was done.
And at that point, you might need other companies to bid it if we're gonna replace the whole thing.
Just a second.
Maybe
In-
the conversation
in
about Wi-Fi.
Axios, I mean, is there like no electricity, or do just, I mean, what's the deal? You don't know?
All the electricity and everything's working fine. Clark has tested the poles that it went out on. Originally, the lights in the parking lot weren't even working. Those came back on, but the cameras did not. I mean,
Sounds
whatever happened fried the
Sounds
cameras.
like a power surge from
Yeah.
Well, and
lightning.
we talked to Encore about if there were any power surges that they saw or nothing.
UFO.
Was that before or after the 4th of July?
It was before.
Before.
It was out there 24/7. Replacement of the
Plants.
cameras, we just kind of talked about that. The plants,
So, they are going to buy the plants on August 15th. The plants will be delivered shortly after that, and then they'll be put in around the 1st of September.
What kind of plants are we?
Those are the plants that you approved for the Four Corners.
And that's a good time to plant them?
He talked with the guy that he's buying them from, and that's what they told him.
Yeah, cause I don't wanna plant them too soon and them,
And the sprinklers working
Oh, the
okay?
irrigation's working now.
Irrigation's working on it. And he's also getting quotes on replacing the magnolia trees that died and just going ahead and, you know, there was that talk about not replacing it with magnolia trees because the soil wasn't doing what the magnolia trees needed. So he said that he thought it would look really funny to have different trees within there, so he talked about doing magnolia trees, but replacing the dirt that's in the container and replacing it with soil that'll handle the magnolia trees.
There you go.
So options.
They like pickle juice.
We have saved $2,000.
Woo-hoo.
So the
How did we save $2,000?
$2,000 that was approved for the gravel at Samuel North,
Okay.
Robert and his crew had some millings left over from when they were doing the street, and so Johnny's guys came and put
Yep.
the milling down, so we
They
didn't
did
have
it
to
that
purchase them.
2 days after our
Yeah.
meeting, so that's all I'm out there doing.
Yeah,
So what is milling?
it's just the fine,
Is it concrete or
asphalt.
asphalt? Yeah.
Yeah, it's recycled asphalt
Yeah.
that they mix with the stuff.
There's enough to do the whole driveway, or?
Great.
So we reallocated that back into our general fund.
Cool.
So,
And I owe you one contact, I know I forgot on the tennis court, basketball court stuff.
yes.
I've got it, I forgot to get it.
All right, move on to item number 12. Discuss future agenda items and events.
So our next regular meeting is August 14th. Need to see if y'all would at all be possible, amenable. I know one thing has come up is possibly not having a board meeting sometime during the summer. I don't know if that's feasible just based on the projects, because we need to at the next meeting essentially approve the agreements that may be discussed tonight. So I think we may have to have an August meeting. However, would really like to take vacation that week. Obviously, if there was any way possible to either move it a week up. or
You would like to
back.
take vacation? Is that what you said?
Yes. I sent you
Mark,
an
Don't
email,
you,
and I know you're
aren't you,
right
aren't
around
your
that
kids
stuff.
needed to be in
Is that what you're
school?
looking
Oh,
at?
they're
Yeah.
still in
I
vacation.
just want to hear.
August 20th.
That's
So
the
what
week,
was-
that's
what
the
were
week
the-
before school
Our
starts.
options are the 7th or the 21st. I think 21st is getting too close to
Well,
everybody
school
going
starts
crazy.
the 22nd, so
Yeah, 21st is,
I'm
No.
out, I'm out the 7th, but other people might be though.
And we can look at other, I mean, it doesn't have, that's just, those are the 2 Tuesdays before and after. So, just shoot me some dates that you're available in August, and we can take a look at that.
I'm not allowed to go anywhere in August. So
who says?
I'm here
Work.
working. My son's got football. Football starts first week of August.
So we'll take a look at that and see if it's not feasible to change it, then it's not feasible. Town council meetings, July 23rd and August 13th. Still have pushed the survey back. I've sent some comments to Leslie and the town manager about some things that may help us on their survey, so they're looking at what that is. And seeing how they can incorporate that into their survey. The Vineyard Park lighting, that just keeps getting pushed back because it has.
I think we should
What?
just ditch it. I don't think we're gonna end up putting lighting in that park. It's just too close to the houses, and maybe we should just. I mean, I feel sorry for the soccer guys. I mean, because they're renting the thing, but
We'll bring it back for further discussion.
I mean, I'd rather put lights up there for sure. But
I was,
Um,
well, it's not on the agenda, but I have another,
Well, that's where we
Thought.
can say things that we want to talk about next time.
mhm.
I have a thought too, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Rails to Trails, obviously I'm interested in that. This house across the street from the school, it's been for sale forever. I didn't realize it has land that goes quite a ways south along
Next to the
that,
railroad track, you mean?
next to the railroad
Yeah.
track. Obviously, it's for sale, but I was curious if that could, that and, you know, with the other properties that go along the railroad track all the way down to 80, could potentially be something good, if not for the town, for developer, whatever. But tied in with its location right there with the school, that house, to me, the topics come up about the library and all sorts of other stuff.
You mean purchasing the house and then renovating?
Potentially, yeah, could potentially be a neat town project that ties into the school. The only issue is there's residents on both sides, you know, that might not want a town property in the middle, I don't know, but priced as a house and property, it's kind of pricey, but priced as something that could be used by the town if it was redistricted and rezoned outside of residential. But, and then the homeowner next door, I have no idea what their plans are for the back half of that property, but, you know, they just put goats out there so they could have sheep so they could have an ag exemption, you know, but those are two really long lots
Yeah.
that border that, and it's also ties in with the future plans for around here, so.
Where's the house at?
Blue house across the street from the admin building.
It's right
On Trip.
on the other side of the railroad track, or the old railroad track. It's the first house after the track.
2-story with porch all the way around it and everything, but
And
as well as access to the rail.
I'm over on Jobson by Homestead where they have the walking path and then it just drops off and then there's the baseball field and then it picks back up again. Like how much would it cost to connect that? Or could we ask Homestead developer, can they do that?
Yeah, that goes back to the land is owned by the school district and we lease part of the land, right? And
We lease
maintain-
part of
lease
it.
and maintain part of it.
There's,
but it's-
I mean, it's like, it stops, and then there's like, from probably what, 100 yards? 75 yards, something like that?
I can't, I have
Yeah, there's a water
There's like a little
Retaining
creek
it.
thing,
like thing over there.
and then it picks back up. I'm like, that little section right there would be nice to complete.
yeah.
And also if we could do like 2 little jets going that connect to Jobson. So like if you're gonna walk from Stony Creek over there,
Yeah, you could
You
choose to
could.
go in the park.
you could, I would like to see if there's any way, if we could do that, or we could see if make the developer do it,
It's too
or
late
how
for
much
that.
it would be, or whatever. Cause it doesn't seem like that long.
And
That'd be
then-
a good start right there, depending on how much it costs.
And then the other, along those lines, the next thing would just be within our budget, if we can get accountings for these monies that have been escrowed that are supposed to go to trails. So we know the tunnel money was escrowed, but I guess that belongs in the town's budget. But the new Stony Creek developments opted to escrow money instead of put in trails. So where does that show up,
That's
you know?
town.
It goes into a town escrow account, so they put they have budgeted items for the escrow, whatever. So apparently with each of these escrows, there's an agreement that's been made. And the agreement may be that it has to be a trail within that subdivision, or the agreement may be that it can be anywhere within the town. So right now, the funds that are there are very minimal in what is currently there. But it looks like, if I remember right, the one for Stony Creek was for the Stony Creek subdivision somewhere. So that'll just be put back into going into something else.
Into the
Stony Creek
specific,
neighborhood subdivision.
like 5A, 5B, whatever, or into the entire Stony Creek?
I don't know what the specific agreement says, but Liz and I were talking about that because that came up on where these escrows go, and
Yeah.
so it's not really earmarked for anything
Okay.
specific that we could utilize for accounting wise. But as far as the trails and connectivity and stuff, something else.
But the
we-
planning of that would be nice with our master trails plan, if we could So like to your point, if there's a dead space that the developer's paid to get to here, if we can
Fill in the dead space
invest in the
or
dead
something?
space, that's great, you know?
That's why I was asking where that is, but right now, we've got to we just have to pull the agreements to see what the
Okay.
agreements say. But we also, it was talked about that we may need to revisit and update. And I know
That's
Javier
not
had
bad.
talked about getting a committee to help with that, so that those that know the community can sit there and kind of help along with that.
And the phone charging station thing, is that like along the trail?
Yeah, no, that one we nixed,
Oh.
or pushed off, so.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I missed
No, that was gonna be at the pavilion.
Ah, okay. Good.
Have a meeting tomorrow, talk about Collins. We kind of talked about the possibility of maybe getting electricity to be able to do lights. In talking with our engineer, there may be a possibility, the plans right now are 90% complete, and it looks like that we could just run the electricity through already in the plan. But the meeting is with the engineer of the project as a whole, so seeing if we can still run an electricity line through there, if we can still do it and what that cost would be. So I'll update you.
So do we have a new engineer, or I know they posted for that position?
We do have a
We
new town
do.
engineer. He's been here 3 weeks, maybe a month.
Didn't meet.
His name is Lyle, real good, real nice guy. He's helpful.
Cool.
And then at some point, discuss deeding over the remainder tract to the town and steps that we have to do to deed that over to the town.
Any,
Couple other things that had been mentioned was the possibility of maybe changing the times of the meetings. So I just wanted to look at, it was my understanding that 6:30 was the earliest this group could meet. And if that's changed, I mean, I'm all for having it whenever y'all want to have it. Just need to-
I think it's fine. I think that came up when.
When I told you it's gonna be a
discussing-
3-hour meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
And then other
up,
people were like,
I'm
"We
up
don't
for
wanna move it."
earlier, but obviously I'm one person, so, you know.
I mean,
6:30 is like, some days it's tough for me to make
Okay.
6:30, so if we make it 6 o'clock, I mean, I'm not saying I can't, I just,
Right.
I mean, we used to be at 7, some 7 o'clock meetings, I was behind, so
you need to walk faster.
that's what they tell me at work.
You need a
When
Segway.
you're there as long as I am, you're like, yeah,
You get a moped.
yeah, so, I don't know. I think 6:30, to me, it's fine, it's working out well. I mean, I understand the lateness and all that, I'm right there with you, I like our maximum meetings at
Actually-
7:15 to be over, you know.
Sounds like we're doing pretty.
We're doing,
today.
yeah, I was looking at the
Not-
clock, I said,
not
we're doing
done.
really good, so.
Yeah, I mean, the other idea was to kind of as mentioned, maybe cap the agendas. And please, don't get me wrong, I know since I've been here, y'all have had really long meetings, but I think things are happening and we're getting some projects underway, and there's gonna be times that we really need to talk about those, and I don't know any other way to push them off. So I'm trying to be conscious of what goes on, the meetings. And, you know, tonight when I told you about how long it would be, I mean, I was kind of estimating 30 minutes per presentation, and just to prepare your heads that it may be a little later than,
When you give us the numbers, then the meeting will get longer.
yeah, it'll be easy, just approve it, we'll be done.
7% of
All
12.
right,
So, unless y'all have anything else,
Any update on our former property at Four Corners and the Quick Trip? Because it doesn't look like anything's happening.
so Quick Trip has 6 months to break ground. I think they're in month 4, so they
Okay.
still have a couple months to break ground. There has been some work being done at the Provident property. They've had trucks kind of doing some excavations and testing. So they've been over there. I see the trucks over there. They haven't come back as far as the screen wall and landscaping. They've kind of gone dormant on me. But MedCore is coming through. They're fixing to come to P&Z.
All right, cool.
So there's still costs. Waterburger's still coming through. If y'all want, Mike Anderson is supposed to come and give a presentation to the 4A board next month, to kind of give an update on what's going on with Sunnyvale Center side.
All right. Anything else?
Executive.
All right, we will move to executive session at 8:14 p.m. It will be section 551.087, Economic Development, Project Elite, Project AC, Project Saucer, Project Barn, section B, 551074, Personal Matter, Economic Development Director.